afternoon, Professor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Today, Mr. Mohammed Arwi, could you please turn off the microphone? Richman, the same thing. Could you please turn off the microphone? Richman, yes, thank you very much. As I said, we will finish from where we stopped last week. And in a sense, we are still talking about descriptive meaning, or to some extent, meaning that is related to what we have in the sentence objectively, without any form of, let's say, external influence. The first idea that we have here is that meanings are concepts. Can someone explain that? What do you mean by meanings are concepts?
Professor?
Yes, Khadija?
When we talk about concepts, we talk about something that can be perceptual. Every one of us can understand it according to his view.
Oh, yes. So something that can be understood by the others, yes. So that will be a concept. Yes, that's a very good answer. Idris?
Professor, just want to ask you, we didn't receive your link. We didn't receive the link, Professor.
What do you mean?
The Google Meet link. We didn't receive any email or so.
I don't really understand. Did you receive the link to Google Classroom?
No, Professor.
Yes, Professor, we did.
Anything.
No, because you are here, it means you have received the link to Google Meet. I don't really understand the question itself. How did you get? Yes?
Just a friend of mine who sent it to me, Professor.
Yes, Professor.
You are in group 5?
No, group 6.
Group 6. I think it's a problem with Apogee. I think they haven't updated the list, because I have resent the links yesterday again, expecting them to have updated the list, but apparently they haven't. So I don't know where the problem is. I have one email. Yes, go ahead.
I have just received your email right now. It comes late also. I don't know why, but I have just received it.
Yes, so I don't really know the problem. So as I have said, I don't select all the emails. I have the email of one group. I send it to one email, and normally it sends it to everyone else. I don't select students. I don't forget students.
Professor, please, if you can the next time send it before the time, so we can receive it in time also.
Are you talking about Google Classroom, the links that I send in Google Classroom?
Yes, Professor.
No, you will have to update. Just update your page, and you will receive them. So when it comes at 2, exactly at 2, just update the page, and it will give you the link. It will show you the link. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so meanings are concepts, and meanings are something that people can perceive, people can agree on to some extent, as I think Khadija said. Let's think of this sentence in this context. Look at the context first, then let's discuss. What's the main idea here of this sentence?
Professor,
Yes, Khadija?
the dog has ruined my blue skirt. This was said by Shayla. Here it can carry two meanings.
Yes.
Maybe the dog really ruined her skirt, and maybe she did it by herself because she did not like the dog.
Yes. So you are saying they don't like each other. So when she was asked, maybe she lied. Maybe she said what really happened. Yes, that's true. So we're talking about truth conditions. So if what she said happened in a way she said it, then we can say that the sentence is true, and maybe it's not true. She just said that because she doesn't like the dog. Yes, that's a possibility. Thank you. Thank you, Khadija, for that. So these are two possibilities. What about the main thing that's happened here? The proposition, if you remember, when we talked about propositions. So the main proposition. Okay, maybe not in this sense. Let's build towards this step by step. Maybe it will be clear. So we have first the meaning of a word. What I have asked you about just now is the meaning of the whole proposition. But let's build toward that, and let's start by the meaning of a word. Okay. In this sense, the meaning of something is the description of the known characteristics or features of that thing. Somehow the explanations of its meaning. Because the question is, how do we give the meaning of something? It's going back to the example that we have a dog. So how would you explain a dog? How would you give me the meaning of a dog? Imagine you are talking to someone who doesn't really speak the language, so he doesn't really understand what that sound dog means. So you have to explain it. Khadija?
A dog is an animal that barks. It has 4 legs, and it is a pet that can live with people.
Yes. So it can live with people. Yes. So thank you very much. It's a very good explanation, and that's basically what we do when we try to give the meaning of something. We try to explain its main known characteristics. Okay. So let's keep this explanation in mind, and let's move to the next step. So the dog is a certain kind of medium-sized animal with 4 legs and a tail, often kept as pets. They bark, and they may bite. So I think we can all agree on this description, and we can all say that this is somehow the meaning of the word dog. So again, to some extent, we are doing what we did last week, but now we are going to move towards further steps. We have said this before. Words do not carry meaning. So words do not carry these meanings. They carry sound patterns. So the word, as we see it, dog, for instance, is just a sound pattern. It doesn't really carry the meaning itself. That are recognizable only to listeners who have those patterns as part of their linguistic knowledge. So that is what we have just done. If I don't speak the language, I will not recognize these sounds as sounds that carry this specific meaning, which means that words do not carry the meaning themselves. They are just, let's say, recognizable to those people who speak that specific language. So that's how we can define maybe words, and that's their relationship with meaning. So the meaning of a word is a concept or a mental description that results from linking a specific sound pattern to a specific description. I think you know these things. We have You have seen them before. So it is a concept or mental description that results from linking a specific sound pattern to a specific description. So normally what happens in your head when you hear a specific description and a specific sound pattern, you link them. If you don't know the language, you need someone to explain what that sound pattern does to you. So how do we understand meaning? When I say dog, what happens in your brain? Can you think about this? Can you?
Professor,
Yes, go ahead.
when we hear a group of sounds, we make a connection between the meaning that this group of sounds carry, and we build a picture in our minds. That's how the meaning can be built.
Ah, yes, that's a very good explanation. But you said we build a picture in our mind. So when I said a dog, do you think when I say dog, you imagine you have a picture in your mind? Do you think that's what happened?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a picture of a specific dog?
Yes.
Okay. Do you all agree that when we hear concepts, we hear certain sounds, we imagine pictures? We have pictures in our brain.
Yes.
So,
Yes, Professor.
Yes. When I say the word idea, do you picture anything?
Sir?
Yes?
No, Professor.
So,
Sir? Yes, sir.
I imagine a man
suggestion.
man thinking.
All two of you are talking at the same time. Okay. Let's raise hands and let's see. Yes, go ahead.
Can I speak, sir?
We'll start with Yashir and we'll come
Usually
back to you.
when someone says idea, most people think of a man or a woman sitting and thinking about something. As for how people listen to sound and imagine a specific picture, it's usually because most children in their kindergarten days, they teach them songs like how a dog says woof, a cat says meow, and other songs like that links the sound to a specific picture through the repetition of these kindergarten songs.
Yes. So you agree that maybe we are raised in a way that made us link words to pictures, to images. That's how we were raised as children. Yes, maybe. I think we had Otman trying to say something. Otman?
Okay, sir. Thank you. I want to say that when we hear some words, we can imagine some suggestions. For this word dog, when I hear it, I imagine that it's something danger, especially an animal.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes, thank you, Otman. But the question was about the word idea. Or let's say freedom. Yes, go ahead.
For me, for the concrete concept, I can imagine the things, for example, dog or cat or anything like that, something that I have experienced or have seen in my context. I can imagine the image. For example, dog, I can imagine my dog. And
yes.
The abstract idea, the abstract concept, I imagine a color, only color. For example, when I heard the word idea, I've seen the color gray. For Monday, for example, I see the color red. Only colors.
Okay, that's a new thing to me. I have never thought of it in this way. I'm even trying to link words to colors and didn't work for me. But I think, yes, as you have said, people think in different ways. But the idea that we need to picture an image is a bit debatable. But we don't really always have pictures, have mental representations in the form of picture. That's the idea we're trying to do, to say here. Yes, Osman?
Are you speaking about arbitrary relationship or something like that?
No, not specifically. It's just what we have, what happens in our brains when we hear a word. So we have a dog. We know what a dog is. So maybe we can imagine a dog that we have seen before. As I think Naima has just said, I agree with that. But when we say some abstract words like feelings or freedom or idea, I don't think we do have a picture in our brain. It doesn't always happen in the form of pictures. So that's
something abstract.
Yes, when we have something abstract, then it's difficult to see a picture of that. So every concept is related to a specific category of entities that make it different, and that's the idea. We'll come back to this idea, I think, in later chapters. But the idea here, every concept is related to a specific category of entities that make it different. So when we say a dog, we are not talking about one specific animal. We are talking about a category of things, of entities. You know that there are lots of types of dogs and different, maybe millions, maybe billions of dogs in the universe, in the world. So when we say dog, we have included all the category that can go under the term dog. That's the idea. So every one of you can imagine a specific certain dog, and we are all correct, because when we said the word dog, it is a category of entities. It is a general maybe concept. It is all what we can understand when we say the word dog. A concept is not necessarily a mental image for two reasons. So that's why we cannot we don't necessarily have a mental image when we say any word or hear any sound. First, some words are not categories of visible things like idea and mood. So when we say mood or idea, these are not visible things. We haven't seen them before. It's difficult to see them when we talk about them. And again, visual appearance is not enough to reach mental descriptions like dog. So again, when I said dog, you don't really understand all the possibilities that I have said. You understand, maybe you think of just one specific dog. Maybe that's what happens, but you don't really reach the full mental description. You cannot really imagine or picture all possible dogs that fit into that category. Okay. So a word can only be considered established if its form and meaning are linked in the minds of a great number of language users. That's something I think that we have seen before about conventionality. So normally it is established only when the people who speak the language agree that this specific sound mean or carry this specific meaning, if we can use the word carry. Okay. Is that clear? If you don't have any questions, we will have to move to the next slide. But before moving on, maybe can someone summarize what we have said? How do we get the meaning of a word? It's not a mental image, as we have said. So what is it? How do we get the meaning of a word based on what we have seen here?
So,
yes, here.
A word is not stuck on one specific meaning or description. It is the result of any form of linking any sound pattern to any specific description. It's just a matter of which description and sound pattern got linked first.
Yes, in a sense, we can say that. Yes, here. So it's not about one specific description. It is about description that was linked first. So thank you, Yasir. Yes, thank you. Can we hear another explanation? or shall we just move on? Okay, so you can remember that it's
Professor?
Yes, go ahead.
The meaning of a word, the meaning of things are different from one person to another. It depends on the context and the experience that that person have experienced, and the knowledge he or she knows about this.
Yes, we can also say that. Maybe it depends on the knowledge of a specific person. Yes, that's correct too. So we have وجدان, and then we'll have to move on. Yes, وجدان, do you want to say something? No. So we'll have Idris Salmani.
Yes, sir. Professor, for example, we can have an image for a concept. If we're talking, for example, of memorizing something, we imagine we relate that concept with an image so we can remember it. So the next time when we heard that concept or that idea, we go back to our memory, to the image that we gave to that concept in our memory. I guess this is how we know the meaning of words or concepts also.
I think as your classmates have just said, maybe it depends on the person and their way of thinking. I cannot really tell, say 100% this is how other people think. But I would say that I don't really think I think in this way. I think we have different ways of grasping concepts. Yes?
Sir?
Yes, Osman?
Okay, thank you. So I think that the concept we can get the concept of the word through the context of the word in the speech.
So we can get the meaning through the context of the word in the speech. But if I say it's a good idea and you don't know what idea means, you will not really know what it is. I can say it's a good idea. I can say it's a good tree. I can say it's a good dog. So if you don't really know the word, it will be difficult for you. Sometimes in some context, context is not enough.
Okay.
So maybe in general, we can say that the meaning of a word is somehow its description that is acceptable by larger members of society. So for instance, when we have that description that you can see there of a dog, you know that I think it agrees with all our different imaginations of a dog. So that's basically what a dog looks like. We may find exceptions, yes, but that's normally what all people would agree. So that can be the established meaning of a dog for all people, including everything that can be described as a dog. And we have also said that it's not necessarily an image that we have in our brains. So it can be something maybe more. So because we have said that words are not all words are categories of visible things. That's one thing. And mental images are not really always enough. They are very limited. So when I say door and you imagine only the door that's in front of you, you haven't really captured the meaning that I wanted you to understand. Because door normally is broader than that door that you have in front of you. It includes an unlimited number of entities. Now we'll move to the meaning of a sentence, which is okay. Let's just start. All the elements of the sentence, word meanings plus grammatical meanings, combine into one complex concept or situation concept, if we can say that. So it is either called complex concept or situation concept. I think you still remember the sentence that we are talking about. The sentence that we have is, the dog has ruined, I think, my shirt.
My blue skirt.
My blue skirt, yes, thank you very much. So the dog has ruined my blue skirt, yes, thank you very much. So ruin is the main component of this situation concept. When I asked you before, what's the main element of the meaning of this sentence, of this proposition, or what's the proposition of these linguistic elements? The main concept there is ruining. So can you say more? Can you explain the idea based on this? So the main thing that's happened is this, ruining. Let's say I killed someone. If I give you the sentence, I killed someone, so what happened is killing, and I am the killer, killed the one that was killed, in a sense, if we can say that. So it's all about killing. The main proposition is killing that happened there. Do you get the point? So if I say I ruined something, so the main meaning of the sentence is that someone who ruins things has ruined a specific thing, so that thing was ruined. So it's all about ruining. Okay. Someone is raising their hand. So we have yes, Reni.
Sir, is the action.
Yes, the main action, the main event, the main thing that happened here.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. So it's the main action. It's the main idea behind the sentence. Naima?
We asked the question, who run the blue skirts?
So what is the thing that was ruined? It's the blue skirt, yes. So and who ruined it? It's the dog, in a sense. So it's always about ruining. So the main action of the sentence, and who did it, and to whom. So the event, the main event here is ruining. The ruiner is a dog that is identifiable in the given context of utterance. It is identifiable because we have the dog, so we know which dog we are talking about. It's not a dog, it's the dog. And we have the ruined object, which is a skirt, the blue one, linked to the speaker, because they say my blue skirt. Okay, so somehow this is also part of how we do semantic analysis. So what we did last week, if you remember, so describing content words, then describing grammatical terms, then maybe talking about the functions of those grammatical elements, the function of each word, for instance, if it is a plural, if it is singular, and the contribution of tense. We have discussed those elements. Then we have moved to phrases. So we were talking about compositionality. We were talking about how individual elements build the general meaning. But we haven't really moved to talk about the general meaning yet. So the general meaning in this case will be this one. We have described the sentence, the whole sentence. We did that, but the general meaning is something like this. So the main event, the one performing the action, and the one receiving the action. We will talk, I think, about this more in the next chapter, but here, so that's the basic idea. Time, the present perfect tense. Because the situation at the time of utterance results from a previous event. That's how we see the present perfect. So it has ruined something. So we are talking about the present perfect. So we talk also about the contribution of time. The signals the description supplied by the following noun applies to an entity in the given context unit, context of utterance, which the addressees are supposed to be able to sort out. Keep this in mind. You will probably see the or the in most sentences. This is normally how you would describe it. So it signals the description supplied by the following noun applies to an entity. So normally to describe it, to give its semantic meaning, you will explain it as in this way. When you see they or the, it means that the following element is known to the addressee. So they are able to know it. They are able to understand what element is coming next. So I say the table, the dog, the book, So I expect them to know it. So that's how you will explain the, okay? And you said that it will be explained, it will be understood in its context when we give the specific context. In this case, we say the dog without context. We know that it is a known dog for the speakers. If we know more about the context, we will be able to know which specific dog. The following description disregards word meanings and highlights the contribution of the functional elements. So in this description of that sentence, we will not really look at the meanings, we will just look at the grammatical functions of each of those elements. So this is the description. The situation at the time of utterance results from a previous event. Why do we have that? Why do we say that what's happening now results from a previous event? We are not talking about meaning, we are talking just about the grammatical element. So how do we get to this conclusion?
Professor.
Yes?
The present perfect.
So yes, Papa. Yes.
So there is, I mean, a cause before, and this is, I can say, a result of this action.
Yes, thank you, Mustafa. So that's basically the idea. When we are talking just about the grammatical function of the words that we have there. So we have the present perfect, and we know what the present perfect is. It's a situation that's related to something maybe that happened before. So utterance that results from a previous event. Okay. One of its meanings. Okay. So in which a dog that can be uniquely determined in the context of utterance. Again, how do we get to this description? This part of the description. As I have said, we are not concerned with the meanings of words, but only the grammatical or functional elements of the sentence. So how are we going to get the meaning of this element? We have talked about it. Yes,
Professor? Here, the dog is the subject, and it is the subject only in this context.
In a sense, yes, but we said that it is preceded by the. So the dog. So it is a dog that can be uniquely determined in the context of the utterance. So the is not really a content word, it is a functional word. So we are talking just about the functional elements. So it is a dog that can be uniquely determined because it is the dog, not a dog. Okay. Ruin the blue skirt, so that's the meaning. Okay. Which can be linked to the speaker, and again, which can be linked to the speaker. Why?
Because of using the word my.
Yes, because of my, yes. So to some extent, I think, as I have said, so this is where we stopped last week, and this is some attribution of grammatical or functional elements of the sentence. Last week, what we did was combining the elements of content words and functional words too. So when we say, for instance, skirt, it's just one skirt, not more. If we have an adjective, for instance, is it superlative? Is it comparative? That's what we added to the meaning. Now we are going back to the functional elements and trying to see what meaning they add to the sentence. I hope you are not lost. Yeah. So this is our summary of meanings as concept. The meaning of a word, more precisely a content word, non-verb or adjective, is a concept that provides a mental description of a certain kind of entity. So it is a mental description and not specifically a mental image. Okay. The meaning of a sentence is a concept that provides a mental description of a certain kind of situation. So when we talk about words, we talk about entities, and when we talk about sentences, we talk about situations. The situation that we had before is, as we have said, ruiner, something that's ruining as a verb, and something that was ruined. That was the situation. That's the situation that we have. So we have the main event, we have the one performing the action, we have the one receiving the action, and we have the time when the action took place, as we can see here. So that's basically it. That's the general situation. And we can add some functional elements there to see. They also add to the description of the general situation. So the meaning of the sentence, or as we said here, situation. Clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So now going back to the idea of reference, and do all, for instance, content words have reference? That will be a bit problematic. We'll see why. So normally the referent elements of the sentences can be phrases, noun phrases, verb phrases, and so on, and or words or grammatical form, like tense. If you remember, for instance, last week we said, for instance, just by using the present, we knew that we are talking about the time of speaking, and the time of speaking was, I think, 1991, and a specific afternoon. Some grammatical elements can also have reference. So just keep the sentence that we have in mind, we are talking about in mind. So the subject noun phrase and the object noun phrase each have a reference in general. So that's normally what happens. We have two noun phrases and we have one main event. So the subject noun phrase refers to the one performing the action. The object noun phrase refers to the one receiving the action. So each one of them has a reference. The possessive pronoun within the object noun phrase has a reference of its own. So that's my that we have there has its own reference. Okay, it refers to the speaker itself. The finite verb confirms reference to a certain kind of event and due to its tense to a certain time. So it has done, it has ruined. Okay. So each element normally refers to something specific. The phrases refer to specific object. When we have that possessive pronoun, then we have included another object, because normally we can just say the dog has ruined the skirt. So it will be subject, verb, object, and each one has its reference to some extent. But when we say my skirt, we have added another reference. That's what they say. And tend to refer to something too. The problem is with adjectives like blue. So when we say blue, does it have a reference? It has meaning, it means something, but does it have reference? So the idea is that adjectives have no reference. But they contribute to the description of the reference, skirt. Their meanings are borrowed. Do you get this point? If you do, try to explain it in your own words.
So,
yes.
So each part of the sentence has its own meaning and reference, but adjectives have no specific reference, but they function as a complement or contribution to the description of the reference that comes after them.
Yes, that's the idea. Thank you very much, Yasir. Thank you for your explanation. For instance, just imagine a situation in which I say, for instance, it's a big M, and here in this case, big would be something in a specific, let's say, size. If I say it's a tree, big will mean something different. If it's a big building, and big will also mean something different. So the idea is that the meaning of big somehow something specific. It borrows its meaning to the next element, and that's what gives it meaning again. So when we say blue sky, you know that it's not really blue, but to some extent, in general, it is relative. So it depends on what it is attached to. That's how it gets its meaning.
Professor?
We can still talk of the... Yes?
Can we say that adjectives have no reference, but they borrow their meanings from the nouns they modify?
Yes, we can say that. So they borrow part of the meaning from the nouns they modify, and they lend them some meaning too. So when we add the adjective, as you know, we are describing the noun. So it borrows its meaning from it, then it adds some meaning to the noun again. So that's how it works. We can still talk of the potential reference of content words since the head of a phrase is the main referring expression. So again, what we have just said here is that each noun phrase normally refers to something specific. But we can still say that we are talking about either the reference of noun phrases or the reference of just the words, because the words, the main words, maybe the lexical words, can be, in some cases, I would say, I'm trying to give an example. So the head of the phrase is always means something again. So when we say the blue skirt, I think we know that we are the skirt, and it means something. It has a reference. So we can be referring to phrases or referring to specific words. It may be impossible to fix reference if a sentence is not true. Here again, I think we'll go back to what's one of your classmates has said at the beginning. So maybe the dog has actually ruined the skirt. Maybe she just doesn't like him and she had to lie. So maybe nothing took place. So if it didn't really take place, then we cannot really fix. Perfect. Okay.
We said that the color blue is not reference, right?
Yes.
But when we say the slang blue, we mean it like it's sad or so. No?
Sad.
Yes.
I think, as I have said, it depends on what it is linked to. I think if we can say maybe a sad book or sad movie or sad person, so that sad has part of the meaning. Then when we add it, I'm just trying to explain. So when we add it to something else, it will mean something completely different, because sadness for people is not like sadness for movies or for books. So it's again blue and blue what? So when we say, as I have said, blue, I think for walls it's something different. For water it's something different. So it's not that it doesn't have meaning. It has partial meaning. When we say big, I think we all understand the word big. But when you think about it, you know that it should be linked to something for it to be more specific and to mean something more specific. Do you get the point? So it means something independently, but it needs to be linked to something else so that the meaning will be complete.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So let's move to the next element, descriptive meaning of sentences as proposition. So in a given context of utterance, sentences refer to what we may call situation referred to. So we can either call them sentences. So what we call sentences refer to or go back to a specific situation. So the sentence that we have refers to maybe a specific situation or situation referred to, like the idea of ruining. So that sentence that we have there, it refers to the situation that we have described. So the situation took place, And this is the sentence that refers to it specifically. Situations potentially referred to are all those situations that fit the mental description provided by the meaning of the sentence. Can someone explain this? Or situations potentially referred to. Yes, can someone explain that? So they are all those situations that fit the mental description provided by the meaning of the sentence.
So
Yes, yes.
I think it means all those possible situations when you don't have the exact context. For example, when she said the dog ruined my blue skirt, maybe she was referring to a very unpolite man, so she insulted him using the word dog.
Yes, that's very good. A very good way of seeing it. Yes, that's a very good answer. Yes. Yes, someone else wants to talk? So it's everything that fits. Yes, go ahead, Osman.
Okay. Situations are the propositions that we think after reading the sentence.
Like what?
When we read a sentence, we get some propositions about what the sentence speaks about.
Yes, we have seen an example before. We have seen an example, I think, of sharks eat dogs.
Yeah.
That was the example. So, and the proposition was that these eat those in general. And I think even eat, or I think that was prey. So we have also tried to find alternatives to the word. Here when we say that the dog ruined my skirt, as Yassi has said, maybe a dog refers to a human being. And that's also part of the proposition. Maybe my skirt wasn't really something, a real skirt. We have seen the example before. Maybe it's a picture of a skirt. But I will say it's my skirt or my picture of skirt without really saying a picture. And even ruin, it can mean lots of things. It can mean just one cut. It can mean just maybe just so it may mean cutting it in many places. It can mean cutting it in one place. It can mean just maybe getting it dirty. So and we can still say ruined my skirt. So all these situations will fit into one into the proposition of this sentence, of this linguistic element that we have.
Yes, sir.
So
Professor,
that's the proposal of this proposition. Yes.
Is it like communicative meaning that we saw last week?
No. So far, we are still not talking about the context itself. We are just saying that, semantically speaking, when we say this sentence, when we produce this sentence, it gives us some kind of potential explanation. So we haven't really specified. If we have a specific context, we will understand, and there will be no room for interpretation. But semantically speaking, we get the potential of the sentence. So this is what it can mean, and we don't really get into the details. The context will give us the detail. Okay, so it's the potential of the sentence, or all what the sentence can mean. That's what we try to get in semantics, without really linking it to the real context. Okay.
Okay, Professor.
The descriptive meaning of a sentence or its proposition is a concept that provides a mental description of the kind of situation it potentially refers to. So that's what we have said. So when we say something has ruined something, that's the idea, that's the proposition, that's what we have in mind, and we can change the details. The dog itself can be a Chihuahua, can be a bulldog, can be any type of dog. So anything can change there. But the general situation, the proposition will remain normally the same. Our description should fit all these possibilities. Okay. Descriptive meaning of a word or grammatical form is its contribution to descriptive sentence meaning. So normally, in normal situations, We have descriptive meanings of words or grammatical forms, so that's what we have been doing before, and they contribute to the descriptive meaning of the sentence, except as you know, for instance, in idiomatic expressions, in which the descriptive meanings do not really add up to the general meaning of the sentence. But in general, that's what happens. Descriptive meanings of elements will add to give us descriptive meaning of the sentence. So the situation referred to contains the reference of all the referring elements of the sentence. So each of the elements of the sentence refers to something, and the situation in general contains all these references. So that's what we have done before. So grammatical words and content words would all contribute somehow to the meaning of the situation that we are talking about. So we'll not be specific, we'll not decide which specific dog and which specific skirt, but we'll just try to capture the whole potential or all the potential situations that the sentence refers to. Okay. So what can you say about this table? As you can see here, each element of the sentence will be described. So we have description of the skirt, description of ruin as a verb, cause great or irreparable damage to something. It can be an exaggeration, of course, but this is what it means. Blue of a color intermediate between green and violet as the sky or sea or sunny day. So you just try to describe it, as you can see here. There is no one specific way of describing everything, but we just try to describe it in this specific way. You will have also noticed that there are some kind of, I don't know if I can call them brackets, that should be, maybe that's around the description, so we'll have to use them again. The noun or article. So when we have the, it is followed by only a noun. The reference of the noun is uniquely determined in given context. So when you see they, always describe it in this way. The reference of the noun is uniquely determined by a given context. And my, for instance, linked to the speaker to some extent. So the dog has ruined my blue skirt. It's the combination of the whole thing. That's the situation that we have. A dog ruining a blue skirt, and we'll describe what the skirt is, what ruin, what blue, what has, what everything can contribute to the general meaning. Context of the utterance. So where the context in which the utterance took place. So we say this because we don't really have it. This is part of pragmatics, but we don't really have the context. We don't really have the pragmatic situation or the context that's enough for pragmatic analysis. So what we will say that if given context of the utterance, so ko for context and you for utterance. So if given the context, we will know what the refers to specifically. What the noun, for instance, following the refers to specific. Okay, that's context of the utterance.
So, well, so when there is no context of use, and when the reader reads this sentence, this is the default meaning. Out of the many possible meanings, this is the first rational one that comes to mind, making it the default meaning.
Yes, this meaning is general enough to capture all what the word may refer to when given the context. So that's the idea. As you have said, it can be default meaning. It can be the meaning that all people will agree on. So when I say the, it means that we are talking about something that the speaker and the listener will know in a specific sentence. We know that about it. Then we can get more details when we get the context. Is Haytham?
Sir, is descriptive meaning the same as expression meaning? we saw last week.
Expression meaning and descriptive meaning.
Yes, are they the same?
As you can see in this table, we have expression or type. We have the expression itself. Then we have its descriptive meaning. So each expression, because what we said about expression is that it can be a word, it can be a sentence, it can be a phrase, it can be anything. So this is the expression that we are describing, and this is its descriptive meaning. I think you are talking about expressive meaning, and expressive meaning is something else. We are going to see it today. So expressive meaning is something. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Haitham. We'll move, I think, to denotations and truth conditions. So that's the first part. But we will talk about social meaning and we'll talk about expressive meaning later. So we have denotations and truth conditions. What do we mean by denotations? Here there is some kind of, yes, go ahead, Latifa. Yes, Latifa.
Professor? Denotations are words that are known by all people. For example, when we say tree, all people know what is a tree.
Yes. Yes, in a sense. So it's what all people maybe think of when we say a specific word. Yes. We have Haytham. Yes.
Sir, as we saw the last session, a denotation, the literal meaning of something, or the big class of things. For example, when we say like dogs, so it's a general class. We don't talk about like specific dog breed or something.
Yes, that's correct. So it is, yes, it is normally a general class that a specific word belongs to. Yeah.
Professor?
Yes, Naima?
Denotations are the words or the symbols that we use to refer to explicit meanings and general meanings that we.
Yes. So maybe the general meaning that the word can refer to it. Thank you, Naima. So the denotation of content word is the category or set of all its potential reference. So as we have said when we said dog, its denotation normally takes in all the descriptions, all the explanations of the elements that can fit as the reference of that word. Denotation of word is more than set of all existing entities of that kind. So it's not only everything that exists. It includes real reference as well as fictitious ones, usual examples and unusual ones. Maybe even examples we cannot imagine because they are not yet, or they are yet to be invented. So it includes everything. It includes, for instance, when we say a dog, it includes dogs that can fly, maybe that can talk, that can. So it can include everything. That's whether it is true or fictitious or part of fiction. So everything normally is included in our denotation. So it's still a dog, whether it flies or not, or it doesn't. So it's still a dog. The denotation of a sentence is what we may describe as the set or category of all situations to which the same sentence can potentially refer to, or in which the sentence is true. So it's similar to that of a word. So when we say a dog, it can refer to all dogs, real ones and imaginary ones. When we say denotation of a sentence, we said that the sentence may refer to, or the reference of a sentence is a situation. So the situation or all the situations that can be described by that specific sentence. That's what we have talked about just a couple of minutes earlier. The truth conditions of a sentence are the conditions under which it is true. So when we say the dog has ruined my skirt, it's true only if that's actually what happened. So if a specific type of dog has performed a specific type of ruining on a specific type of skirt. So in that case, it will be a true sentence. Now, can someone explain this idea? Let's say we are talking about words, so we have content words. So it means descriptive meaning or the concept, and that concept determines the notation. Yes, who wants to explain that? We said when we started today, we said that what a word means is how we can describe it. So when we talk about meaning itself is the description. So when we say a dog, it's something that has 4 legs and this and that and that. So that's the meaning. That's how we describe it. But that is what determines the category. So when we describe it in that specific way, we say it's something that has, for instance, 4 legs that people keep it. So that's what I mean by and it determines all the animals, for instance, that can be included as part of that description. So all the animals that can bark, that can be kept as pets, that can bite. So this is what determines the denotation. So the meaning is the description, and the denotation is, and it is what determines the denotation, which is all the possible elements that can fit into that category. Okay.
So
yes, here.
So every content word has a concept and a category.
Okay. Yes, normally every category has a concept, and this is what determines its category. So we have the concept. We have said that the concept is not just an image. It's just what we have in mind when we say, for instance, idea.
Dog.
What we have in mind when we say any word that's contains word, and it's what determines the category. Okay, so that's how it works in all situations. Yes.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. Then when we talk about sentences, normally a sentence means complex concept. So somehow the combination of all the concepts that's there, and that's what determines its true conditions. Because when we have all the complex concepts, for instance, the description that we have, for instance, at a specific time of speaking, a specific animal that has 4 legs and this and that and that. So we have explained the complex concept or the situation, and it will only be true if the elements of that situation do take place. So it's similar to what we have seen before. Okay. One more element in one more part, but there is the sentence type. So the sentence dog has ruined my blue skirt. It is an assertion. It is a declarative sentence. So this situation pertains. So normally the situation has taken place, and that's what we have said here. But if it is a question, then we have a problem. Has a dog ruined my blue skirt? It is interrogative sentence and leaves open whether the situation pertains or not. So it is just a question. We don't know. I am just asking you. I don't know whether it took place or it didn't take place. So when it is a question, then we don't really know whether the situation took place or didn't. Difference in meaning is due to grammatical differences in sentence type. Okay, so the type of sentence adds some change in meaning. The change in meaning is this is what I've just said. So when we have a declarative sentence, we know that it's part of the meaning that the situation has taken place. But when it is a question or an interrogative sentence, part of the meaning is that we don't really know whether it happened or not. So if you are analyzing a question, that's something. If you are analyzing a declarative sentence, that's something else. Okay. So the semantic contribution of the grammatical sentence type is not part of the proposition. So the proposition is something, and the semantic contribution of the grammatical sentence is something else. Okay, can someone explain this last statement? The semantic contribution of the grammatical sentence type is not part of the proposition. It is non-descriptive meaning. So all what we have been saying so far relates to descriptive meaning. But what we are saying here is that this is not part of the descriptive meaning. Can you explain why or how? It's not part of the proposition. It's not part of the proposition. Think about it for instance. The proposition that we have here, let's say the sentence is the dog ruined the blue skirt. So the proposition, the general idea, the reference, the potential of the sentence is still the same. A dog ruining a skirt. That's the idea. A ruiner ruining something that was ruined. So it's still the same. The question is, so the proposition will not change. But when we have a declarative sentence, we know that it happened. When we have a question, we don't really know whether the dog has ruined it or not. So the proposition is still the same. What we have here is out of that description. So the description will remain. The question is, did it take place or did it not take place? Do you get the point? So that's what we say. It has non-descriptive meaning. It is out of let's say, of the proposition. It's not part of the proposition. I hope that's clear.
So,
Yes.
is it because when it comes to grammatical sentence type, a grammar isn't concerned whether the meaning is this or that? It is only concerned whether the word is grammatically correct or not.
It's not specifically about correctness. Yes, here. So it's not even about the grammar itself, because grammatical words or functional words, as we have seen them before, for instance, tense or the or has done or something like that, they contribute to the meaning. They contribute to the proposition. So they are part of it. But what we have here is the type of the sentence.